We're back for real. Sorry about that, guys. The power just went out and we lost everything. Now we're getting. Oh, it's gonna be trippy. It's gonna be one of those days, guys. As BJ said, the spirit of Martin Luther clearly does not want us working today. Carnivore says premature finish there, TJ. I think there's a pill for that. I don't know if there is a pill for that, but let us know in the chat if there is. I guess you would know. So we are back here now. We got. Don't worry, dude. What's my name for being late? Because we totally messed it up. So hopefully the power holds out. We're obviously pushing the breaker a little hard. We got a lot of stuff recording next door and the next couple things. But anyway, right back to it. We're going to have a good show for you guys today. We got AJ Wrights Crypto, Derek Alien Taco, Ali Lee, Ali B, BJ Biscuit Jesus on the board. Guys, say a prayer for him. He actually literally just got in a car accident, and he is here for you guys. He's not feeling it right now, but he cares about the basement and the basement dwellers. He knows his people.
Is it wrong? That legitimately was why I didn't call the cops. I was like, I have got to get there.
Not wrong at all. We admire and we encourage your dedication to the basement dwellers. It's gonna be a good show, guys. I missed you guys on Friday. We have a lot of really good stuff to look at. As I was saying, we've got another story for top 5 things to watch this week. Really just tons of tweets today. Johnny was looking at what I had pulled for the stream and was like, I only saw one actual article and just a lot of tweets. Is that right? And that's pretty much it. So we're going to spin through the tweeters that I was looking at over the weekend while being out of town and go from there. We had some fun action. Bitcoin price finally started moving. We're going to talk about what to expect if we think it's going to continue, if we think it's going to chill out a little bit, and kind of go from there. So I was asking... Go ahead. Oh, you're catching bulls. Yeah. I was asking the guys here if they remember this. I don't know who remembers Frankie. Say it in the chat if you remember. This is Frankie McDonald. He basically just goes around and screams Bitcoin at the absolute top of his lungs in different places. He did it during the run up to 69K in the last bull market. He was just traveling around, and this is pretty much it. And he started doing it on the 14th, and lo and behold, I don't know if you get my audio or not. All right, let's go. Let's see.
Man.
Here we go. There you go.
Wow, thanks for that.
All right.
Let's watch it 5 more times.
Yeah. No, you only need it once, but he would go all over the country screaming that, and we would pump, and everybody thought he was going to take us all the way to 100K. This was back when Laser Eyes was the thing. Everybody was putting Laser Eyes on their profile. They're like, here we go. But that is how I felt Ben and I were out in the woods over the weekend. And that is what it felt like to see it moving again. It was fun. It's crazy that he did that. Now, he's been around for a while. He probably knows kind of Bitcoin patterns, Bitcoin charts, definitely the 4-year cycle. That's a Bitcoin gap. There is a CME gap for those of you just under 20K, I believe. Obviously, CME gap means when the price moves heavily on Bitcoin over weekends. No, Riddle of Puns, I will not be on the book
I'll
tour.
be there.
Yeah. When the Bitcoin price, the CME closes and then it moves substantially on the weekend and reopens back up on Monday, it can create a gap on the CME chart. And I think it's about 80, maybe a little bit over 80% fill rate, that those CME gaps do get filled. So I do expect us to come test that now. There could be a long time before it gets filled. But 80 to 85% of the time, those CME gaps do get filled. There was some crazy run around 3 or 4K. I think that's where a lot of people look at that number as an actual pico bottom. I don't know I think that's going to be one of the ones that never gets filled. That's part of that 10 to 15%. But yeah, so that was one of the things over the weekend. This was a interesting question from Satoshi Flipper. As you guys know, we pull his stuff a lot. Now that we're back to the pre-FTX BTC level, we can see it took something the size of FTX blowing up for BTC to dump 30%, being that 15.5 November lows. So then what would it take for BTC to dump 50% from here? Nothing probable, in my opinion. I tend to agree with that. So I want to come to AJ with this one to start. Because I know you're still on bottom watch. You've been pretty big on watching that 10 to 14K.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if this move substantial up over 20, if you're still thinking we could hit that bottom, or if you're thinking maybe the bottom might be in now.
So every day I'm leaning towards the fact that, maybe the bottom is in, maybe this is the beginning of the markup, but at the same time, it is still early this year. It is pretty common to see people in crypto, like we pump like, not that much, and everyone's like, yes, like that's it, like we're going, and I'm just like listen, don't get me wrong, I want to be a bull, I want to go to the top, and I think we're actually just a little bit below the pre-FTX level. I don't think like we're officially above that yet. I looked at it this morning, but anyway, this
is it close? I'm pretty sure.
I was looking at it this morning, and it's like pretty close.
Okay,
but anyway, if we get rejected from right here and went back down, I feel like someone said it in the chat, if we hold above like the 17 18k, I feel like that would be okay. If we get rejected and don't go below 17, that would be wonderful. That would pretty sweet. I'm looking for a retest at this point. I did a little Doge short last night. It was okay. A lot of coins kind of came up like Sand and a couple others, and like came up really hard, and then they're starting to retest. And if we're gonna bullishly like retest the EMAs, that would be wonderful. But at the same time, like, you never know. It's crypto. There's still regulation. There's still uncertainty with like Silvergate and Digital Currency Group and the Winklevi, and there's still a lot of shaky stuff going on right now. And it won't take that much to put us back under 20k.
Right. Back under 20k.
I'm not looking at the crazy scenario. One day at a time. Like if we go below 20k, that's when I'll have that next conversation. But I'm not gonna like talk about 15k now and look dumb. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I guess you probably feel like, because that's basically what he's saying. It would take, obviously, if what happened before took us down 30%, we need something bigger, more dramatic. I think Silvergates. There are some narratives out there too. That could potentially. Sorry, I got distracted. I don't have my lights on up here.
Oh man.
There are some things that could potentially pull us back down there. I feel very strongly 15.5 is the bottom at this point. Getting back above this 20 level is very key. It's putting the technicals on a lot of the charts on longer time frames and some of the shorter time frames. Shaping up much better, hitting key levels. I don't think we're running straight to the top here. Don't get me wrong. Like Ben and I talked about on the morning stream, it's going to be a lot of ranging. It's going to be a slow grind up for a lot of this year. I think we spend the bulk of the year between 20 and 28k with some breakdowns and breakups on either direction, maybe run into the mid 30s and then back down. But at this point, I've been doing somebody asked me what my strategy is when it comes to, that was one thing I wanted to pull. I don't know. Here, we'll pop over here and look at the Hit Network Twitter, see if it's
really quick. This is a fair question. If DCG and Silvergate died, how low could it go?
I don't think it goes below 17 at this point. That's kind of my point. I don't think
even if DCG and Silvergate, which would mean Grayscale liquidation, all that would still higher than 17 with all that.
There's Silvergate is separate from DCG, but if both of those went down, I don't see. No, I still don't see it going much below that.
Okay.
Realistically, I don't think it would have more of an effect than what FTX did.
Down,
because if FTX is kind of what caused a lot of this other stuff, in my opinion. Because I think there would, I don't see Silvergate going down. B, I think DCG, and we're going to talk about some of that, kind of the latest on the DCG scenario. I know there's SEC probes going all around on Gemini now as well, which they were pretty upset about. But here was something I tweeted or retweeted from Altcoin Psycho. I thought it was pretty good advice. I wanted to touch on this, and this comes back to kind of what we were just talking about. Now is one of those moments where you'll likely psyop yourself out of your own game plan because of all the noise on the feed. That's like what AJ was just talking about. You got all these people are super bullish. Oh, hey, we're going straight back to the top, all-time high, bull market's back. Guys, look at 2019. In my opinion, I'm doing most of my analysis based on what the 2019 cycle was like. You had a long time to accumulate. Yes, there was a pretty solid movement. It did break out all the way up to 14K back then, which was pretty, from 7K all the way to 14K, which is why some of us think we could go from, 15-ish to the mid 30s. It would be very similar to what we experienced in 2019. But this is good advice. Highly recommend spending less time on Twitter this week and sticking with your plan, not someone else's. My thing was stick with your plan, have conviction. You're smarter than you think. And I'm saying, trust yourself. And especially a lot of the people in this chat right here, Chemistry Bro, I said I thought bottom was in at 17.5, so not going to make any harsh claims here now. But the technicals have been shooting up from the bottom since basically 17.5. There's a lot of positive things on the charts, positive things on the macro, positive things on the Bitcoin cycle timing, and all of those things together. And some of this is just gut and experience. Based on what I've experienced in the past, it feels similar to what was happening end of 2018, beginning of 2019. And my main thing, and I think this is where somebody asked, what was my strategy? And I basically said right here, accumulate throughout. My strategy is to accumulate throughout 2023, accumulate hard anytime we're under previous cycle all-time highs, which for Bitcoin is 20K, for Ethereum is 1,400, and then sell mid to late 20, sell late 24 to early 25 is basically my general strategy that I'm going to be sticking with. There's going to be all kinds of noise, different directions, but if I stick to that, I know I'm going to do well based on my experience in the past. WX40, new to the Twitch channel, had to come watch it live. Appreciate you being here. Love all you guys that join us in the live chat. Shout out Prepper Crypto Tony, Jay Serrano, Wine 25 Georgia, Martin Tech, Big Hands Dan. Oh, Big Hands Dan, saw the tweet over the weekend. You do have big hands, saw that. It was just a picture of his hand in the book. So, true to his name. Also, Prepper Crypto, the Druth is out having dental surgery today. I do see him in the chat. How are you feeling, Prepper Crypto? You hanging in there? What's the latest? We were all talking about you. We're sending our thoughts and prayers out to you as we speak. So just let us know how you're doing. We got a lot of people here sick today. But we got a lot of troopers. Like I said, BJ's still here, working hard. Prepper Crypto still in the chat. He says huge. He's dead. He says, oh, poor guy. Oral surgery, never fun.
No.
So yeah, we're going to talk about that. Also, I just dropped this morning a couple of those crypto AI videos I've been teasing. One of them's just a setup explaining what AI crypto is. And the other one was kind of a beginner's guide to Bitcoin, all written by ChatGPT. So I want to know in the comments on this video or any of those videos, what type of stuff you would like to see, if you're enjoying it, if you're not enjoying it. It's all just a test right now. It's been fun for me to play with ChatGPT, and I'm getting some pretty interesting results. So just let me know what kind of stuff you want me to ask it, what type of topics. Obviously, we're going to cover a lot of blockchain stuff, a lot of Bitcoin stuff, a lot of finance-related things, freedom-related things. But outside of that, if there's anything specifically you want me to get into, just let me know in the comments, and of course, we'll do that. And while you're here, shout out to twitch.tv, our sponsor there. If you guys want to join us live, twitch.tv/bitboy_crypto. If you're hearing this, seeing this anywhere else, smash the like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, listen on audio. All of this does get distributed on audio, so we appreciate all you guys wherever you are. TJ, where are the video posted? They're going to be posted on the Blockchain Basement channel. So if you're seeing this after the fact, that's where they're going to be posted. They will not be on Twitch because they're going to be recorded uploads. So yeah. And real quick on that subject, this is a little bit of a sidebar. A lot of Bitcoiners are into health. Jesse Powell, the CEO of Kraken here. And this is something to be careful of with all AI. This is something we all need to be aware of. He says, my biggest ChatGPT annoyance is it just answering a different question and not telling you. I catch it sometimes, but who knows how often it happens with topics I'm less informed about. Any advice for priming it to actually honor my requests and warn me when it's diverging? And this is important. This is kind of to something BJ was referencing a few episodes ago when we were talking about this, to be careful that it's not pushing you in a direction you're not trying to go without you realizing it, because this isn't an end-all be-all for information. It is programmed by humans. It does learn on its own algorithm. That algorithm's programmed by humans, and it actually strictly does have biases, and you need to make sure you keep that in the back of your mind at all time. This was something where basically apologize for a confusion. The list of vegetables that I provided earlier was not based on any specific factor you mentioned. It was based on my general knowledge of foods and their nutritional content. Blah, 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 blah. And he said, but I didn't ask you for a list of nutritious vegetables. I asked you for a list of low oxalate vegetables. Why did you disregard my request and without informing me, produce a list based on your own desires? And then it basically says again, I'm sorry for the confusion. I understand now that you requested low oxalate vegetables specifically, and I failed to provide that to you. And then it kind of repeats, my initial response was based on general knowledge, blah, 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 blah. So, this is something, again, the whole concept of AI as we're moving forward is very intriguing to me. That's why I'm playing with this stuff, but I want to keep it. I want all of you guys to stay vigilant as you're using this tool. It's going to continue as time goes on. It's going to be important that you understand what you can use AI for, what it's good for, and what its limitations are. And I think understanding its limitations and its weak points is going to be critical into using it effectively in the future. So
yeah, and just to chime in here, I really agree with Crimson Caravan. Prompt engineering probably is going to be a future job. Like, I use it all the time for research on X, Y, and Z. Like, if I don't know about something, I'll just put it in the chat and see what it says. And like, like with the Silvergate script, it was saying that Silvergate wasn't connected to the Alameda research, but then I really got it to spill the beans and tell me everything that was. It was funny like how, and I would like really open up a different session when it was saying one thing, and I would get it to say what I wanted it to say in a different session. So if you don't get what you want, try opening up a new session and see if that works. Another thing is like, we had touched on this around the blockchain on Friday, is that like the biases that it has are from the like political opinion of whoever is writing the code. Like for example, Jada and I actually were messing around with it, and I was like, why do people like Nancy Pelosi? And it was like, Nancy Pelosi is a predominant blah, 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 blah. And I was like, why do people like Donald Trump? And then it was like, a polarizing figure, boom, 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 boom. And it didn't even mention that he used to be the president. And it was just like, all right, Nancy's predominant and Donald's polarizing. Thanks. Right. Like, you know what I mean? And that's not even like picking a side. It's just funny, like just putting that 2 questions in there, you can see that it leans a little bit to the left.
Yeah, it's very interesting to riddle with punch when he said I had an interesting convo with ChatGPT about misinformation. It said it doesn't connect to live internet in part to avoid spreading misinformation. I was like, well, what about all of the misinformation that was presented as a fact back in 2021 when your knowledge cutoff is? And it basically said, yeah, I might still spread misinformation, just older misinformation. And there is,
wow, it's
not necessarily honest. Like I know some of you guys have seen probably the screenshots of somebody asking it, is Elon Musk the CEO of Twitter? And it says, first it says, no, as of 2021, and you can get to say, no, I don't have any information beyond 2021. And then you ask it again who it is, and it'll say Elon Musk. And so it's like, okay, if you don't have any information beyond 2021, how do you know Elon Musk is the CEO of Twitter? It's pretty interesting there with it's a computer program. It's got programmers. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're using it. We are still the superior mind here. We need to be fact checking it, not the other way around. But it is a great tool for research. And somebody has said, it's going to be tough as students learn to use it. I agree. There is already things in place where, because there's a lot of AI products out there now, and AI, because it does need to continue to be trained, it doesn't want to be trained on itself, because it's really scary world when AI starts training itself on AI. There are already plenty of programs that can detect AI generated scripts.
Yeah, teachers use, I forget the name of it, but I looked it up. Teachers will know if you're straight copy and pasting from it.
Yeah, and you'll have the more creative you get with the prompts, the harder it is, and the more you edit, adjust it. If AI is choosing to lie, we are done for. Ha ha ha. Yeah, it's pretty freaky. So
yeah.
Anyway, keep an eye on that series. Let me know what you guys think. I'll do it for a while. If it starts to run its course, we can stop it. But as long as it's useful information, and so far a lot of it's been some really basic like the first one I did today was kind of Bitcoin, a 2023 beginner's guide to Bitcoin, and it pretty much very succinctly tells you what it is, how it works, where to buy it, and how to send it. And so. I thought it was pretty interesting. It used bitcoin.org is where it suggested you download the wallet, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, we're gonna move on from there.
Fun.
Do we want to talk? I have some drugs to talk about. You guys want to talk about drugs?
Fuck,
or you want to
yeah.
talk about something else?
The basement. Let's talk about drugs.
Yeah. So this is non-crypto related, but we all know Canada, the test net for the United States, is trade remain. But put it this way: everything is crypto related because everything I pull is from crypto Twitter. So all of these Twitter accounts are crypto Twitter people. So even though the subjects may not be crypto, these are obviously things people are interested in. So Canada's legalizing the possession of 2.5 grams of drugs.
Wow. Any
drugs. As long as the cumulative weight is no more than 2.5 grams. Canada's banning leveraged crypto trading and USDT. Cool. So in Canada, they're extremely strict on money transfers of all kind. They're extremely strict on crypto trading. They won't let you invest in your future. But you can buy as many drugs as you want, as long as you're not distributing them and cutting into.
Just don't buy an eighth.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're not cutting into, like, you're not a clear dealer and cutting into a potential market. Like, you can be a consumer of as many drugs as you want. Stay docile. Stay away from trying to change your future.
Do we have any Canadians in the chat? What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, anybody in Canada?
I was gonna say I've been to Canada before and Montreal, and it was so crappy on the streets, like needles,
That's bags
everywhere,
like Seattle.
So this is gonna make it 10 times worth. But worse, but don't leverage trade and use USDT
Right.
or we're gonna get you.
Yeah.
You can do heroin, but don't you dare
blows my
leverage
mind.
trade.
Yeah.
2.5 grams
I
of
saw
leverage.
that. I saw the Aztec Warlord 2.5 gram. Yeah, maybe if we only 2.5x, then it's okay. But anything above that, is a crime.
That's so gross. At first, when I first read it in my mind, I thought it was just talking about 2.5 grams of weed.
Mm-hmm.
But then I doubled. Wait, that
any
means
drug.
any
Doesn't matter.
drug.
Any drug. Yeah, it's bizarre. And so
Jesus.
I
That's
know.
gnarly.
I know there's probably some mixed feelings when it comes to libertarianism and people making their own choices for their own life and all that kind of stuff. I can hear some of those arguments. That being said, I do think
disgusting.
it's very clear. People, like if you're using drugs, especially harder drugs, it's going to keep you more malleable than somebody who is critically thinking and questioning a lot of different things. And that's something that I think, especially right now in society, it's important for all of us to question the facts that are being presented to us, question the information, especially anything coming from our government. So this is, I think, something to keep an eye on, in my opinion.
You
But
sure you don't mean ductile, easily being able to be shaped into a wire so we can become one with the machine?
ductile, is that really it?
Ductile.
Malleable is what you think. Ductile is specifically a wire.
Interesting.
Wow.
Well,
Thanks,
I might
DJ.
use that again. We did just go duck hunting. We're the Texas of Canada here. We're not down with this shiz. Okay, interesting. Sus. Any drug, WTF in Ireland, everything is illegal except alcohol and coffee. And we know they put their alcohol in their coffee. So
Right.
shout
Why
out
not?
to
If that's
out
all
to
there
Bailey's.
is.
yeah. Shout out to the gingers out there. Gonna be extinct soon enough. Thanks for doing your part, Taco.
Hey.
Got it, guys.
I think it's what year is it they're supposed to be extinct? Like not that far away, right?
Like in 100 years or something.
What?
Yeah, redheads.
I'm sure
we're
Bill
a
Burr has
rare
something
breed
to
on
say.
this planet. I think we're under like
2060.
1%.
2060.
That's within my
that's in,
lifetime.
like-
Yeah. Now this is according to Oxford Hair Foundation, and it says without giving clear evidence. Reported in 2005, redheads could disappear as early as 2060. Turned out the group was affiliated with Procter and Gamble, and they probably are
I have
making
40
red hair
years to
dye.
live.
Yeah.
Unleash.
You're the last generation. You need to make
Unleash
some more.
said
Last one,
gingers
guys.
unite.
Yeah, gingers unite. My daughter's a ginger. Good job, guys.
We're just trying to get rid of Tartaria.
TJ's mom's a ginger.
Yeah, what is Tartaria?
Yeah,
Don't worry
Jade is a
about it.
ginger.
That's a long.
It is a
He
ginger.
grew up kind. He kind of turned more strawberry blonde.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that happens.
My
Let's
sister's
see.
a ginger.
All right, top 5 things to watch this week. We'll spin through this pretty quick because we do have a lot of tweets. BTC price due consolidation. Analysts agree. I think a lot of people are looking for it to hold, between 20,000. And again, it can fall back below 20. And there's a really strong case now between, basically 16.5, say 17 and 20. We can range in there for a while. Or if we can hold 20, we can range between 20 and 25 for a while. So a lot of ranges. Holding above that level, this is the 2017 top level they're talking about. This is what I was talking about at 20K. Holding above that level is symbolic, increases the probability of extending the rally. But in my opinion, holding the 21-week moving average is crucial for a sustained rally. Here we are. These U-shapes, very bullish. If you could see more of the chart, obviously this is what we've looked at in cycle bottoms a lot. You get that clear drop, sideways for a little bottom, fast move back up, and then again, range, and then maybe move up a little bit. Did you have something there, Taco?
I wanted to ask AJ, is that an upside down BART pattern? Would you classify that as an upside down BART pattern? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. If you flip it, yeah. I mean, it looks pretty similar.
Yeah, I suppose.
I mean,
Yeah.
basically the BART is straight up. Generally, you wiggle across the
I
top
kind of
first
had
hair,
to
and then
turn like.
yeah, you kind of have to. You got to flip this
It's
upside
pretty
down,
upside.
but you
But I
want to
also-
see this is a little. You'd want to see this a little bit lower, but yeah, generally speaking, it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
But what is there any significance to an upside down BART pattern?
No,
Do they call
I
it
mean,
that?
it usually if you see the regular BART pattern, you're going to see a drop. And
Yeah.
if you see it upside down, you're going to see a gain.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty strong bull flag. I mean, this is a little bit of a bull flag. If you zoom out a little bit more, like they made right in here became a bull flag for a minute. It just depends on kind of what time frame you're looking at. We did cross back over the 200-day moving average, which is another critical line of support. Looks like a malformed
Malformed butt. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
From a technical perspective, it is a malformed butt.
That's a McDonald bottom right there.
Yep.
Do they have something like Poland syndrome for butt?
What is Poland syndrome?
Poland syndrome is when one of your pecs doesn't develop. So you have a concave chest. on one
They
side.
have fun fact. I used to know somebody that had that. There's something where like half of your body does it. So his whole
What?
left side of his body was undeveloped. like arm, pec,
That's sad.
legs, muscle. It was bizarre.
Wow.
What was
That's hard.
Shout out to
That's sad.
what was his name? I can't even remember his name. I knew it so well at one point.
I was Jason Casper with his like iconic uneven butt cheeks picture.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason
He's
Casper
a
with the
funny
fun tee.
guy.
I love
He's so funny.
people that draw funny chart. You know, Crypto Face has his 3 amigos a lot of time. He draws all
Yep.
kinds of funny stuff on the charts. So yeah, fun stuff there. But focus shifting to earnings as stock catalyst. I don't know. Like, this is obviously more on the macro level. We're starting to, I feel like, see a little separation between Bitcoin and macro. Not directly. Like, obviously, we still got the DXY falling, which again lines up with Bitcoin pumping. Let's see. What is Y's liquidator trade? When Microsoft will take over this tool, it will be just one more propaganda channel for the general public. He's talking about Chat GPT.
Probably.
Yeah, there's a, I think we covered some of the stories about them looking to acquire
Are they
49.
talking about us and calling us tools? Does this just get really deep really quickly?
No, it's so
Did
meta.
Microsoft just put a bunch of money into AI too?
I don't know if it's gone through yet, but yeah, they're looking at
Right.
they're looking at acquiring Chat GPT, 49% of it, of OpenAI specifically.
Right.
Because it could be pretty fascinating as it implements across, if you think about it, Word, Excel, all the different things. You want to write a script, you just ask it and it'll do it for you on Excel.
That's crazy.
A lot of big stuff there. So, as noted by Bank of America strategists, in last week, the S&P 500 has become particularly sensitive to earnings reports, with their impact overtaking classic data. We see this as a narrative shift in the market from the Fed and inflation to earnings. Reaction to earnings have been increasing, while reactions to inflation data and FOMC meetings are getting smaller. Oh, I see what they're saying. Yeah, I agree with that. They wrote, so basically everybody's keyed in on how much money are they making quarter over quarter right now. They're trying to predict the future, like cash producing income, revenue generating companies are doing well on the stock market. I think they're starting to price in some of these rate hikes. We can see here, it looks like the next rate hike extremely favored for 25 basis points at this point. Last week we were looking at it was a little bit more like 25, 75, but at this point 93%. So the market very confident we're going to see 25 bips next time. So that's interesting to keep an eye on. Bitcoin benefits from the QE hypothesis. One big macro desk listened went Bitcoin long. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? You think we'll actually see QE this year, or we'll just see less tightening?
So QE does imply printing, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
easing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think QE yet, unless some sort of war happens.
I tend to agree.
Yeah.
I think right now we were in QT, which is quantitative tightening. I think we'll see that stop or pause.
So think of it like a rubber band.
Yeah.
So when you pull the rubber band, like once you start to pull, it can only get so tight. So once they have, like, they spent all of 2022 pulling the rubber band. So like, I don't think they have that much more they can pull without like, more massive layoffs and stuff like that kind of happening. So I think that like maybe they might hold the rubber band at a tight spot and pull it a little bit more, but I don't think that they can pull it much further. If
I
that
agree.
makes sense.
Well,
Yeah.
like what Prepper Crypto is
Yep.
saying is like with all the treasury buybacks, and if it doesn't happen this year before the election next year, I definitely think it will happen.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the treasury buybacks is kind of like soft QE or tricky QE. You can do it without calling it QE, basically, but you are juicing the economy with basically the Fed buying treasury stocks. Somebody says QE when housing crashes and we will be in deflation. I don't think the housing crash is as bad as people are putting it out there to be. I don't think there's generally speaking, with real estate, you need an inventory problem for a housing crash, and I don't see an inventory problem coming up right now. Yes, less people are buying, but less people are also selling.
Razzmatazz made me laugh.
Yeah, J Powell, we can always pull
We
more.
can
on
always
it.
pull more.
Yeah,
So
it's,
I haven't seen a house for sale for the past like 2 years in my neighborhood. There's like 6 houses for sale, and there's like 30 houses there, and they've been for sale for probably 5 months.
Wow.
interesting.
They're
Yeah.
just not moving.
Yeah, it's interesting to see people trying to catch the top. I think anybody that bought in the low rates previously, they want to stay in those low rates. They're not going to try to, move. It's different, obviously, if you're talking cash buyers and sellers, investors, that sort of thing. Because obviously the market has pumped, a lot. I mean, pretty much doubled in the last 2 years, which is insane for real estate. But it's, I think, mostly a result of the money supply. The money supply also doubled in that same time period. So, Fed's still buying $90 billion a month in bonds. Is stealth tightening? You see people saying the car market's going to crash.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's,
I know I wanted their truck so bad.
Jay Serrano, the election's coming up. They're going to make sure things are nice and pretty. Yeah, I agree. I mean, generally speaking, we see
That's
very,
fair.
very positive monetary policy going into elections.
Yeah, because they'll be like, look, like we were here and
Yeah.
now we're here.
We
like,
did it.
Whoa, crazy. I hate that.
Did it?
Another thing to mention for keeping an eye on this week, GBTC winning streak continues. This is another thing that gives me confidence about that Grayscale thing. The premium's been ticking higher since the end of December 2022 and is now higher than any point since the FTX meltdown. Largest it ever dropped was when it hit 48.6%. I'll be curious to see. Let's see if we can pull it up real quick. GBTC discount rate.
I think once people finally figured out, oh wait, this whole crypto thing, what happened to FTX isn't actually crypto related.
Whoa.
It's internal. It's within the FTX company where they mishandled funds. So I think people are becoming more confident in crypto, Bitcoin as a whole.
As long as they don't listen to their politicians. You're right.
So very interesting. It peaked very close to the top here. Not necessarily surprising. Throughout the fall, it was in the negative, went as low as 46%, and now it's all the way up to 36%. So 10% pump there on that premium. That bodes well for the long term there. So it's something to keep an eye on, because that obviously is in the middle of all this other Grayscale digital currency group stuff. I think they'll do everything to hold on to the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. That is their cash cow, will be for years to come. So I think they're going to solve this problem, but even if they don't, I don't expect a extremely strong drop like what we've experienced with FTX. I think the worst of it is over in 2020. And generally speaking, on an annual basis, we see, price fall dramatically for 1 year and slowly move up the year after that, and then get the parabolic moves the following 2 years, fall dramatically the year after that, slow move up, so I think we're in the middle of that cycle there. Difficulty hit an all-time high, not surprised, so the network's looking stronger than ever. This is an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Sentiment exits fear as whales buy big. So a lot of big accounts, a lot of big money made moves on the, what was it, the 15th was Friday. Now this is the fear and greed index. This is something that, again, to AJ's point, when everybody's feeling frothy and bullish, get ready for a pullback, because there's a lot of people that weren't here in 2019 that bought the top and that watched and bought it all the way down. They bought 69K, they bought 40K, they bought 50K, they bought 30K.
That's what Lau was saying. Yeah. He's like, I bought the dip and I bought the next dip and I bought the dip of that dip and the dip of that dip.
Right. And all of those people cannot wait to see the price moving back up again in a positive direction. And so any bit gets people, oh, hey, where we go? Bull market's on. We're excited. We're going back up. Like, I'm going to be made whole. And you will, but probably not as quickly as you think, because of, just the market cycles. So when all of those people are feeling very, very, bullish or greedy on the fear and greed, and they're not feeling as much fear, that's generally a time. And there's some key levels to watch. Frank pointed them out. Like, we know 20 is a key level. We know there's something around 21, 25, 28, 30, all the way up. Yep. Again, it's going to take a lot of momentum. I would say check out Frankie Candles, get in his Discord. If you're watching, he points out a lot of the key levels. And to me, the volume levels are one of the best indicators for finding value area high, all those sort of things. What?
I bought so many dips, I should be on a Doritos commercial.
That's good.
I agree with chemistry, bro, that the FTX crash was orchestrated to crash crypto and help push regulations. Yeah.
Could be. I mean, there's a very common theory out there. Yep. I mean, it's aligned with a lot of, obviously aligned with a lot of different regulators, gave him a lot of good talking points.
And they found the 5 billion very.
They just found it.
Found it.
Found it.
And
whoa, look at that.
Yeah, he said, funny how FTX found 5 to 10 billion worth of assets and we have pumped back to where we were.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is interesting. There's also Sam has in a lot of the FTX tokens, Serum, FTT, Solana. A lot of them had very, very strong pumps over the weekend. Something to keep an eye on. Optimism.
Boom.
Well, that's not a Solana. That's not a.
I'm just saying it ripped.
Yeah, no, it did. A lot of coins ripped, but I'm saying specifically on that point, there's some theories that, hey, maybe this has something to do with the money they're finding. They're going to pump these things up, take the profits. Yeah, FTT and Solana pumping. Yeah, exactly.
WD-40 said, when the XRP case is settled, do you think it will kick off the bull run?
It'll be a factor.
I think it's the other way around. I think the bull run will kick off. I think XRP knows they want to get this thing done in a time that's advantageous for the market. It does line up on a lot of the macros. A lot of people are talking March to May for that to finish up. March to May for potential announcement of no more tightening. You know, so that could like March to May also lines up with the mid-year run up that we could, you know, that would mirror the basically a run up to 40K should happen sometime in the middle of this year if we're mirroring the 2019 cycle. So if it's April, May, June, and we see people back off the tightening, we see the XRP case settle, we see your run up, like all of those things are set up to time out almost exactly the same, even though they don't necessarily affect each other. And that's what's so fascinating about all this, like the technicals and the macro and the micro and the fundamentals and all of those things tend to align. And that's why we here on the basement, on BitBoy Crypto, Hit Network, all our different channels, we're a big believer in taking all of that information in, or as much in as we can make sense of, and then creating our thesis based on that, not sticking strict, because some people, and you can do well taking any strategy. Some people stick strictly to the technicals. They completely ignore anything going on in the macro. They completely ignore other assets, the Fed, all of that stuff. They just look, they say, you know, they can tell exactly what's coming just by looking at the charts. Other people say TA is completely useless. It's all, you know, BS, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Said people that don't know TA.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why we believe if you can take in and understand as much as you possibly can, then you'll be able to make the best assessment for yourself. You know, and you just have to decide for yourself. If you like TA, do TA. If you like macro, do macro. If you like both, do both.
Do both,
you know, like,
yeah.
And then there's fundamentals involved as well. There's network effect involved. There's tech adoption. You know, which is why we pull up so many different charts, so many different indicators. There's on-chain things to consider, you know, that I think are very applicable. But funny enough, they all tend to tell the same story.
I also, you know, social metrics, they get slept on a lot.
I think
social metrics matter.
Yeah,
Big
speaking,
deal.
Good transition there. We have this was Santiment here that was talking about. I guess we were just talking about the fear and greed index, which would be one of those social metrics where you can tell.
It's finally neutral, right, for Bitcoin?
Yeah, right now it's sitting at about 50.
Wow.
So which is obviously way
That's
higher than it's been since.
Yeah, the whole entire bear market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what is this? August
a lot of time at
2022.
20.
Does that make you more bullish or less bullish? Since we've been ranging in the lower end of fear, now we're at neutral. You think we're gonna finally go into like parabolic areas, or you think we're just gonna stay neutral or go down?
Yeah, good question. Let us know in the chat what you think about that. Here's what they were talking about. Sharks accumulate first. Bitcoin halts its decline at 16K. Small whales start to accumulate. So shark, I think, is 100 plus Bitcoin. Whales, 1,000 plus. So obviously both pretty substantial. You know, most of you guys would consider 100 plus Bitcoin a whale as well. Large whales accumulate last BTC rapidly on the 21K. So we see, you know, some of the people that are trying to make their moves up, they're aggressive. They know the market. They've got a lot of Bitcoin, strong accumulation at the app, pretty much bottom. Larger accounts saw enough that they need, you know, they gave it a little time to subside. They saw enough around 18K that's like, you know what, we're ready to put in some big buys. And then the big money, large whales, which generally speaking, you want to have a confirmed uptrend before you put big money back in. You want to see the bottom form and start to move away from it. 21K isn't surprising for a lot of large whales. You'd think they maybe would have picked on that 19 to 20, but hey, you know, they probably have a blended entry somewhere between 19.1 and 21, if I had to guess. So.
I also wanted to bring this up. Isn't the most Bitcoin ever traded around like 39K?
Yes.
So
dollar for dollar, you know, dollar value of Bitcoin, yes.
So you think that could be kind of like a magnet where we can chill around in the future?
I think it's a magnet we can maybe get close to and get hard rejected off of. I don't think we'll chill there. I think the other large volume node there is 28K or 20K, where a lot changed hands at both of those prices. I think we can break out. If we break out beyond 28, I think we can move into the mid 30s and start getting moved up towards that number. But if we get anywhere close to it, I think it's a severe rejection off of that
big
number.
sell wall.
Yeah, during this cycle, you know, and then again, once we flip it, if we can get into 2024, I think, you know, or the end of 2023, we can be pushing back up towards it again. But I think in 2024 is when we actually get over that number, hang out there for a while, and then it becomes an extremely strong floor or support, moves us all the way up, previous all-time high, yada, yada, yada. Halving comes in 2024, and then, you know, we're off to the races.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I feel like people that are DCAing in right now, if we get up to those prices, they're going to be taking profit for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, especially big money. You know, if you got millions in right around 20 and you get all the way up to 40, and again, experienced people, this is something, a mistake I made in 2019 that I will probably do differently in 2023. We experienced that. We got in between 6 and 7K. rolled all the way up to 14K, doubled your money. And same thing. Oh, all-time high right around the corner. Here we go. 20K before we know it. Fell all the way back down to 6 to 7K. Stayed in there forever. Even wicked down in March 12th, 2020 to touch 3,800 one more time. And before we started the trek all the way back up to 20K. So,
yeah, I feel like those are the most important times to become familiar with looking at charts. Like, you're looking at your buy-ins, like where they are, your average price, and you're up a 2x. It could be a good time to take profits in the chance that we come back down. You just double up your money,
or just take out your original buy-in and keep a moon bag.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people that do that.
I do
That's
that.
Not bad.
I do that a lot with altcoins, not so much like Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
I try to roll my altcoin gains into Bitcoin and Ethereum.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Enzo Mining. I'm late, but AJ, did you jump into the algo governance period? Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I did. Folks Finance, they have a liquid governance where you can 4x leverage your lockup. It's like a 3-month lockup. It's kind of like I actually talked to the guy from Folks Finance because I was going to talk about that on around the blockchain, but we actually didn't have a chance to talk about governance. But basically, there's very minimal risk because I know it's like leverage and it's like with an APR that's kind of high, so people get scared. But the way it works is that like there's borrowers and there's lenders, and they don't give a shit about your governance. You know what I mean? So they're just like, they will be doing what they're doing regardless of the people who do the governance. So when you do the governance, like you're getting your piece of the pie by taking a loan, and then you're paying it back at the end. And then like the only way that you could actually get liquidated is if like the APY from the platform itself went completely bananas. But because of the tendencies of the automated market maker, the likeliness of that happening is basically not saying impossible, but highly unlikely. Yeah. And that was from the mouth of the guy who created Folks Finance. So I feel safe with about half my Algorand in there. So yeah,
there you go. But also, of course, do your own research.
Yeah, do your own research for sure. But it's the lockup period's over, so you can't do it.
You can't even do it.
But it'll unlock in 3 months, and then I'm not sure when the next one is. I don't think that far ahead sometimes, but I'm in it for the next 3 months.
AJ,
so wish me luck.
You know I'm a DeFi degen. Why didn't you tell me?
I didn't know you held Algorand.
Yeah.
Of course I hold Algorand.
I think there was 4.
Well, you should have done your own research, Taco.
Yeah,
That's why I got you, man. You're the algo expert.
Yeah, 4 billion in algo locked up, I think, by 30,000 delegators. I think that's right. If I'm remembering off the top of my head, approximately 100,000 ish per person or whatever, something like that, which is interesting. Keep looking at those numbers, obviously. Yep. Manowalk said, yeah, Prepper Crypto Friday when TJ wasn't here, got a big crazy for sure. When the boss is away, people will play. Yeah, I did watch some of the episodes.
We tried to watch that episode last night.
It was definitely very crazy energy here. BJ dropping the F-bombs and all that kind of stuff.
And then, what?
It wasn't just you. It was everybody was talking at the same time. It was very hard to watch.
I love Loud. Like, he's my guy. Like, he's my homie. But, dude, that guy, he doesn't care what you're saying. Like, he'll just go. Like, he will cut you right off.
Full of a bunch of cops.
He's a man of his name.
Episode, so. Chemistry Bro said the main thing I learned was a little bit of patience. I bought a little too much, a little too early. I would agree with that. And there was something
about taking profits. Someone asked.
Can you roll up on the chat for a second for me, BJ? There was one other one.
I tried not to drop the F-bomb. I might have said it like twice in here in my life.
Burley Hildress said, are you guys going to be taking profits, and how much of your portfolio?
Okay, yeah, there you go. That's good.
That's my guy. That's my guy, Burley.
Yeah.
That's your guy.
That's
how much are you going to be taking profits, and how much of your portfolio? I assume you're talking about if we move up to a significant number like 30K plus, between 30 and 30. I'm not seeing it, but potential. No. What? Okay.
I've already sold like 45%.
Really?
Yesterday.
So you're mostly out at this point. So you're really betting on a drawback.
Half in, half out.
Yeah. We'll see. I probably won't because I'm just gonna. Again, I told you my strategy: accumulate this year, move it into. I'm gonna sell in 24 and 25. That's when I'm gonna sell. And in this period, I'm gonna be doing a hard accumulation on dips. Again, anything below 20,000 for Bitcoin or 1,400 for Ethereum is oversold for those two assets, in my opinion. Right now, anywhere between 20 and 28 on Bitcoin is decent accumulation zone.
So really fast, let me just, my Algorand that's on my ledger is Algorand on my ledger. I'm not touching it until all time highs. Like my Coinbase bag that was like near ICP. I sold, that's what I sold. And my Algorand from my Coinbase is now in the lockup, and my ledger from my Coinbase, my ledger Algorand is just in my ledger forever. So I sold half of my near and half of my ICP.
What's oversold for ADA? Anything in the 20s, in my opinion. 20 cents is over. Anything like 28, 22, 25. Anything under 30 cents is oversold for ADA.
Yeah, I'm not selling my ADA. I have a bunch of ADA on NAMI, and I'm just leaving that there. I'm just going to rock it out.
Make sure to stake it or delegate it.
Yep. I should.
It's very
super easy.
Very easy on the Exodus wallet for sure.
Can you do it from NAMI?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And Exodus, very easy. One click, one button.
Yep.
Extremely easy.
No
Self-custody. Yeah. Anything under 35 is a deal. Yeah. So, okay, this is another, on that note, we've got a couple things from Gainsey here. Great trader. Definitely, well, decent trader. Not so great sports bettor, but, he's fun account to follow. We really like Gainsey, or I do. Historically, monthly Heiken She flip to green usually means a whole lot more green in the months to follow. Just have some exposure to prevent FOMO, etc. I think only have like 20% exposure after my shorts got blown out. So this is what he's talking about here. The Heiken She obviously doesn't show the moves in between. It's just the net, so if the candle is red, it will show red. It doesn't, it kind of cuts out all that in between stuff, makes it a little easier from a visual perspective. So here you can see we finally flipped green, and he's talking about on the monthly, right? So we finally had a green month for Bitcoin, which is great. And then this is kind of his take on what he thinks is coming up, which I tend to agree with. This is kind of a word of warning on alts, especially if you guys didn't experience 2019. This is very real. He said, I don't think Bitcoin's done, but a lot of your alts will be once it goes parabolic. There's very little new money entering here, in my opinion. It's going to suck all the air out of the room. So what he's referring to is there's not new dollars coming into the crypto market right now. There is a lot sitting in stable coins. There is a lot sitting in other projects. But this is when we start to see the Bitcoin dominance run. We saw it in 2019. It's something Cowan's been talking about for a while, and it's something that a lot of you guys probably didn't even notice over the weekend. But we finally flipped. We're sitting at almost 41.3. It'd been having a very hard time getting above that 40% dominance level. And this is where I think you'll start to see, let's see here. We come down here, we see Bitcoin 23% on the week, Ethereum only 18, BNB only 8, XRP only 10, Cardano only 12, Doge 9, Polygon 17. Here's one, Solana, where there's some funny stuff going on there. DOT 18, 6, 19, 14. So you got to go all the way down to Avalanche number 17 before you see an altcoin that outperformed Bitcoin. And if you look at this, we know Avalanche has been hammered recently. A lot of these other ones, Wrapped Bitcoin, that doesn't count. Where's another one? So you got to go other than Avalanche. Here you go, Kronos, Near.
Let's go.
You got to start getting pretty deep. And then if you go look at the way, like Near Protocol, great project. Obviously, though, has been hammered over this bear market. Pretty substantial drop compared to Bitcoin. So this is where you have to be careful. And this is something I think I mentioned last week where we're going to come to that in a minute. I saw you mentioned it, Chemistry Bro, but yeah, you're watching the same accounts I am. But this is something you have to be careful of in 2023, just like in 2019. We're talking about Bitcoin ranging in some pretty tight areas where it moves up, and then what will happen is what just happened over this past weekend. Bitcoin makes a substantial move. Alts will move with it, but maybe not as substantially as Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin pulls back just a little bit and those alts get hammered. They might make a 10% move up and a 40% drop. It's still very possible with a lot of altcoin projects right now. So not saying not to accumulate alt projects. There's still great accumulation opportunities for ones that you're confident will be here in 24 and 25. A lot of the things that were hot in 2020 and 2021 will likely be fairly docile and dormant in the next cycle. Smart contract platforms are fairly safe plays, but just know as Bitcoin dominance rises, we see a lot of these other alts get hammered, and that's why I think there's good accumulation opportunities. What I would suggest is setting accumulation prices that you feel like, hey, kind of like what we were just talking about. When Cardano hits 22 cents, I'm buying it. I don't care if it goes to 18. If Ethereum hits 1,200, I'm buying it. I don't care if it goes to 1,000. Like that. And that was kind of the same concept I had with Bitcoin. Hey, Bitcoin at 16.5, I'm buying it. I don't care if it goes to 14 or 12. And if you can establish those numbers and stick to that game plan over 2023, you're going to have a great time in 24 and 25. Yeah, OP has Pamponomics. Yeah, I agree.
Pump.
Let's see. Manowalk says, Near, HBAR, Algo, Ada Ape, Aptos, Atom, and a few others will make millionaires. I agree 100% with that one. If you put $2,000 into every single one of those projects, you'll probably be in great shape. But timing is everything. Again, I think you'll do well in this period, but I'm just a word of caution on alts, especially things outside of, I mean, even things in the top 20. Like that happens very systematically, and that's how the Bitcoin dominance rises. So watch and keep an eye on the flow of stable coins, where they're moving into, where they're moving out of. Usually, obviously, heavy pairing. You used to always go Bitcoin, Ethereum into alts. Now everything's paired to stable coins these days, so it doesn't have to actually follow that path. It used to be a lot more predictable. But watch when it flows into Bitcoin, watch when it flows into Ethereum, and then be careful when it pulls back and watch your favorite alts and see if they're getting crushed. If they are, those are some of your opportunities to get back in. That's why, generally speaking, in these periods, I like to be heavy Bitcoin and Ethereum, and kind of watching and waiting different alts. And what I like to do is see alts that are moving differently than the rest of the market. So, for example, we saw big, what moved more than most of the other pairs? What category, this is a pop quiz for you guys. What category moved the most over the weekend, over the past few days as Bitcoin was pumping?
AI coin.
Storage?
I'd have to look at AI coins.
Or Metaverse.
Metaverse. It was Ape. It was Decentraland. Inexplicably, Sand all had big pumps.
Yep.
And it was like, Decentraland hasn't moved in forever. Why is it pumping like this? Sand hasn't moved in forever. So I look for things like that. Gala.
Mana, go ahead. I'm just saying Mana is actually almost at the price of Sand, which is something we haven't seen in a long time. Yeah. It's very rare for Mana to be worth more than Sand.
What blows my mind is Decentraland, the land NFTs are worth more than the other side land NFCs.
Wow.
It's like, I think it was 1.7 ETH for Decentraland and 1.4 for other side. That kind of blew my mind with how much Yuga Labs is doing and how much Decentraland has not done, or I don't know if they're still doing stuff. That
hard to tell.
That was confusing to me.
Yeah, it is. That is very confusing.
No, and so, but watching those categories, you're like, okay, like this, there's some money here. There's money flowing in and out of these projects, even if you can't explain it. Mana getting a pump for VC exit liquidity, possibly, and that's the kind of stuff you need to look at. Or is it getting VC entries? I don't know. Then that's the stuff that I like to keep an eye on throughout the year and watch the movement. That's how I spotted the way I landed up with Cosmos, Solana, under $5, both of them, was by watching obscure movements in 2019. Hey, this one's moving counter. Chainlink was another one. BNB, another one moving counter to the market during different times. So watching things that are making either categories or specific projects that are making moves unique to what the rest of their counterparts are doing can give you something. Okay, when next time I see this at this price, I'm going to accumulate. And kind of like Riddle with Punza saying, he's talking about he likes optimism, but I would wait for a pullback to buy any though. It's been pumping. Average price for him is about 80 cents, I think. Yeah, optimism crushing the game. We covered a story today. They're approaching Matic very quickly on transactions and all sorts of things. A lot of people feel that Matic had to go out and do a lot of those high-profile business development name brand deals because it knows on a tech level it's going to be very hard to compete with Optimism and Arbitrum. And we hear that far and away by developers. Like Optimism or Matic is the play for right now, but Optimism's coming fast, Arbitrum's coming fast, literally fast and cheap. And that's kind of a tough game when you're always competing with fastest and cheapest. There's always going to be somebody else coming out faster and cheaper. So as long as the securities, and you don't need as much security on these chains because you're talking about low level, lower priced transactions, and you roll the main security up to the main chain, which is what Ethereum gives you. So there's going to be a constant kind of influx, I think, for layer 2s until, the sharding and all that stuff is completed. And there'll still be a place for layer 2s, but I think they're going to have their heyday over the next 2 years, really in the next bull run, 3 to 4. I think they start to fade in the next bear market. You haven't missed out on Atom. You still have time on Atom.
Yeah, you still have time with Cosmos for sure. But here's a talking point, from a trading perspective with Optimism, is that this is a question I kind of want to throw out because Optimism, I did a leverage trade. I got in at 95 cents and I got out at 114. And I was like, hey, pretty solid pickup, right? bang, it like started to turn back around. I was just like, hey, I'm going to take my money and run. But if I would have just like been like maybe moved my stop loss up and just held on to the trade, I would have done like, if it's at 180 something now, I bailed at 114 and I kind of feel like a rookie. Like I still won and I'm not complaining about a win. But what, like from a trading perspective, to ask you guys, like what are you looking for to manage a trade correctly, to stay in the trade even when you think you should jump out? Like are you going to move up your stop loss, or are you going to take some profits? Like these are the kind of things that sometimes I like make a decision, but I never know what the correct decision is.
If you were right or
if
wrong.
I was being optimal. You know what I'm saying? And this
you have an answer, Tom?
always trying to get better.
I was going to say two things. One, you made money, so that's good.
Right.
Number two is if you're going into the trade with like a mindset of this is a day trade, this is a week trade, then you did everything correctly.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to see it going up 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
unless you're
Like-
like catching the trend and you see like it just came out with some bullish news, then like, okay, maybe I'm going to stay in the trade. Otherwise, I think you did everything right.
Yeah. It's just those situations when you just kind of like, dang, like, why did I bail on that? You know? And it goes both ways. I'm just like kind of just asking, like just trying to learn, like, when you do a good trade, how could you be more optimal? Like how to make good great?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think Taco had made a good point. And I tend to agree with him. I think, you won the trade. Obviously, that's good. Sticking, and this comes back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, and this is kind of what he was saying, sticking to your strategy. If you planned, like, hey, when you should technically, optimally, when you open the trade, you should have your target of where you're going to close the trade. And if you hit that target, that then you're doing what you planned, you're executing your strategy, and that's the most important thing. To answer your question, one thing you could do that gives you more space in there, obviously a lot of it depends on your weight, your size, how much you have in the trade. Pamp it. Yeah,
Pamp
exactly.
it.
Okay, he's out of the trade. Let it rip. I mean,
precisely.
Well, and this is something even Face was talking about where he closed the trade. I think he made 196K. Like, great. He had a fairly strong gut feeling it was going to continue to run and he could have made a lot more, but he was trying to set a good example, show good risk management. And if you're way up in a trade, yes, moving up the stop loss is a good way to do it. You could move it up like if you have enough space in the trade, and a lot of this depends on your leverage, on your weight, all these different things, and all these different factors, which is why you kind of have to have that strategy when you're going in. If you've got enough wiggle room in there, you can move it up to where you're in profit, but you've still got enough downside to where, you can leave it open and let it run and, it'll work for you. But I think to Taco's point, you did it right. You want to take those profits and you want to, I would assume, build your account to a point where you can afford to trade with large size, and then you're doing longer time frame trades where you're giving yourself more space, but it's a totally different trade setup. It's a totally different. Then you're opening at, X price. You're planning to keep it open for at least a week, on a low leverage, maybe 2-3x. I don't know what kind of leverage you're usually using.
Well, see, a lot of the times, like I generally with trading, I make my money scalping.
Right.
A lot of the trades I'm in maybe will last an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And with that trade, I actually held on it for like, I think a day and a half or something. And I was thinking to myself like, dang, like, well, this went a lot better. And like, I don't know. Because I scalp so much, I never give myself enough time to
really
let it
swing.
develop.
Yeah. I prefer swing trading personally.
That's probably, I should get more into that. I just have a pretty like science out scalping thing, and anytime I can steal 6%, I'll steal 6%.
Well, that's why sticking to your strategy is important. Like, you've got a strategy, it's working for you.
Right.
I'd stick to it. Then that's kind of what the altcoin was saying. Don't get psyoped out of your own strategy,
right?
Because you see, oh man, so and so made 100K, so and so made 70K. Somebody in our morning chat said, thanks Frankie, thanks to you, I made 46K on my long. That's great. And if you made 5K on your long, sticking to your strategy, that's also great.
Right.
And so it's just, there's way too many variables. So I'd say you're on the right track. Great question. Stick to what you're doing. It's obviously working. Then you build up that thing and then you set new goals and and then you can start like Don Alt here. We'll hit this tweet. I think Crypt Chemistry Bro was talking about it. And I agree with this sentiment pretty strongly. And this is kind of like what you were saying. If we go back under 17, there are a few ways you could turn me into a bear. Number one, if we lose 18K. Number two, if we show massive weakness at 32K, meaning we get that run up like we were talking about, and it should move at least closer to 40, maybe 35, 38 in my opinion. So if we get weakness in the 30s, he's saying he'll flip bearish. If we make a new all-time high and then lose it after making the new all-time high, any of those three things, anything but those three, and he'll remain bullish. And he's a great technical trader, long-term, long time frame, usually kind of like Crypto, has big trades open from low levels. Wouldn't shock me if I think he went long. I mean, he was spot buying, I know, in the 17s, but if he opened a leverage long, he's probably, holding it to what you were talking about, going to try to hold it all the way through this run. And if you say like, okay, I can open a leverage long, I'm feeling confident, I'll open it at 16 and give myself a liquidation at 14 or something like that. And then I feel really confident we're not going back below 15.5, and I'm going to try to keep this open for a long time. And then you can crush those trades and make a ton of money. That being said, it's not easy to do to nail those longs all the way from the bottom or short all the way from the top.
Money's made in the middle.
Well, you get those wicks, man, those rogue wicks. They know how to get you.
Yeah.
It's almost like they know exactly where your stop losses are and exactly where your liquidation points are.
Yeah, I'm with Ben. Sorry, Ali, but I stopped trading with a stop loss.
Yeah,
I'm with Ben on that. I felt like when I was trying to be like more careful and all that, and was like setting stop losses, like I'll set a take profit. You know what I mean? Or if I'll move it like all the way down if I'm like scared to go to sleep or something.
Sure.
But Ben doesn't run them, but it's like sketchy to do. But it just always kind of feels like they're going to one of the first times I ever ran a stop loss, I was in a big phantom trade. I was going long, and let's just say it was at 20 cents, and I woke up and it was at 24, and I was like, yes. And I opened up my thing and I forgot I set a stop loss and I lost money. And I was just like, great job.
I don't know if you. Oh, no, keep going.
No, ever since then, I've just been like, bad taste in my mouth. Absolutely hate it.
So I was going to say, I don't know if any of you guys heard this before, but like big institutions, they know all these levels, the Fibonacci's, what it should retrace to. So what they do is they set it at that wick price that you set your stop loss at.
Yep.
Obviously, that sounds like too good to be true, but I mean, it happens all the time.
Yep.
So I guess there is a place and a time for a stop loss. And
yeah.
I mean, if you're not running a stop loss, you just need to be prepared to have your entire account wiped
for
out.
sure.
For sure. I mean, or
use isolated margin, and if you only have a $2,000 position, you lose $2,000. That's better than losing your whole bag.
Yeah,
so like
riddle with punch. That's what he just said. I usually only use stops when I'm trading on with isolated.
Perfect.
Crypto Thorn asks, is it better to learn how to leverage trade in the bear market or bull?
Learn in the bear market, because in the bull market you'll think you're good.
Well, yeah, that's why I'd say I would say do it in the bull market, because you're gonna have a much better chance of success. Now, like that's basically what Ben just did. He traded in the bull market. We didn't leverage trade at all during 2023. We started back when we thought it's flipping bullish, because the trend is your friend. When you have a clearly identified trend, it becomes much easier.
True.
Obviously, you make more longing when the price is going up than you do shorting. Just on the way the math works. I mean, you can make money going both ways, but it's easier when it's going up and when you're longing. A lot of people, but you got to know the trend is what I would say. A lot of people, to AJ's point, if you start in a bull market, you're going to, don't quit your job, because you're going to think you're great at it. And then all of a sudden things are going to flip on you and you're going to realize it's a lot harder than you think. Trading, it is a good, I guess it's tough. It's a good time to learn in chop, because you're actually going to learn how to trade. But if you're starting, you'll be a lot more. I only do it in a bull market. I'll tell you that much, because it's
leverage trading.
Much, much, much easier. I accumulate in a bear market, and if you're going to leverage trade, if you're brand new to it and you start in 2024, you're probably going to have a much better time than if you start now.
Sofa King said, did anyone else notice Femex offers a copy trade feature now?
Yeah, they've had that for a while.
Yep.
We did know that.
BitGet does it too.
And Evan Kuhn said, am I late on Arbitrum? I wanted to do heavy research on the airdrop this week.
You're not late. They haven't airdropped yet, so you still have time. And then once it airdrops, I think you'll see some excitement around it, and then it's game on after that. So there you go.
Interesting.
Just real quick, a couple more stories. Update: Grayscale Trust will remain as is and continue to produce annual reserve that exceeds 300 million plus. Source at DCG. You'll have to pry GBTC and those fees out of their hands with a kryptonite crowbar. Notice the Grayscale PR rush for an ETF smokescreen Thursday, Friday. Yeah, so they've been trying to get an ETF forever. So again, this guy has been pretty accurate with a lot of this stuff. He has inside sources very close to this situation. And this just lines up with logic. This is their Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is their prized possession at Digital Currency Group. They will hold on to that more than anything. Again, $300 million, and they do very, very little to earn it. So that's not bad earnings for just assets under management. So they can use that to continue to rebuild their empire, even if they have to cut off something like most likely they'll just cut Genesis, or they'll have to, they'll have massive losses somewhere, but I don't think they'll take them on Grayscale because that's a lot of money to give up.
Oh yeah.
And then lastly, I did want to touch on this since I've been using a lot of his tweets lately. I think this is a great account. I think he gives a lot of really good tips on content creation, on NFTs, and if you're trying to learn, obviously he's big in NFTs, he's an NFT influencer, but a lot of his content is just more about creation. Obviously here at Hit Network, I'm passionate about content creation, but the story here that I wanted to highlight is this can happen to anybody. Basically he, it says, last night my entire digital livelihood was violated. Every account connected to me both personally and professionally was hacked and used to hurt others. Less importantly, I lost a life-changingly amount of net worth. Obviously, he lost all his apes, his punks, a lot of that kind of stuff.
Wow.
I'll try to hit it pretty quick. This story here. Yesterday afternoon, I went to download OBS on my personal desktop computer. OBS is industry standard streaming software. I was excited to live stream some video games for the first time in my life. What I didn't realize is that when I clicked a sponsored link on Google, it's a very... Obviously, this is a rookie mistake. He knows this. Everybody knows you're not supposed to click on sponsored links. If you guys are out there, do not ever, 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 ever click on a sponsored link on Google. Very easy to get malicious, especially if it's anything crypto related. But it's a habit now. I never click on it because, for a lot of different reasons. But it's very easy to get malicious content downloaded when you're clicking a sponsored link. So he knows he shouldn't have done that. After clicking the link, downloading the software, went to install. Nothing happened when I clicked the executable file. Okay, well, maybe it wasn't for me. I'll attempt, to become Bryson. He's another NFT streamer another time. Played the game, no issues. After finishing the game, picked up significant other, went out on a date. I tapped Twitter and realized both while he was walking there, he got a DM from a friend that his Twitter was hacked. He logged in, saw they were taken over, quickly deleted the scam tweets, caught it 2 minutes after the hack. Whew, no problems, no harm, no foul. And at that point, I would have hoped, it's so easy to do. This happens to so many people. But at that point, I would have hoped he made the connection like, wait a minute. That didn't work. The OBS link didn't work. And now my Twitter got hacked, but he didn't make that connection yet. He said, then I get the DM I've been dreading. Dude, you wrapped ETH your ape? And he said, I pop open OpenSea, bookmark of my ape, and there it is, a completely different wallet listed as the owner.
Damn.
I knew at that moment it was all gone. Everything. All my crypto and NFTs ripped from me. Sat on the couch numb. I knew it was only the beginning. This wasn't a wallet compromise. My entire digital livelihood was under attack. Run to the computer, reset the passwords, wipe the computer, reinstall Windows. After what you can imagine was a subpar night of sleep, I wake up to a slew of DMs and emails. The final shoes dropped. The creative outlet I care about more than anything was his Substack, where he had 16,000 members. Wow. They were emailing to his members, basically more malicious links. And so I just wanted to... He goes on to say... Let's see.
That's so sad.
Yeah, this is very, very depressing.
Let's see. Money's replaceable. All right. So now let's talk about the digital assets, though, and how I lost them. And this is the part I wanted to reiterate to a lot of people. The number one question I got yesterday: did you have a cold wallet?
Boom.
And the answer is yes. And this is why I want people to understand that this is a cold wallet is not an end-all be-all protection. A month ago, I bought my dream computer, a top-of-the-line desktop that will be able to handle all the video editing and gaming I throw at it. I go to set up my ledger with it and make a critical mistake. I set it up as a hot wallet instead of a cold wallet. It's very easy to do. Most of you guys out there have probably done this and didn't even realize it, meaning you can transfer from it and to it because it's connected to the internet. Now I'm highly technical, but after not setting up a ledger for 2 years, I screwed up. I entered my seed phrase in a way that no longer kept it cold. I knew I made a critical mistake. To this point, I haven't bought an NFT for months, wasn't planning on doing it anytime soon. Because of that, I just didn't have the urgency I should have to buy a new one. It always is a thing for me to do tomorrow. Because of this, when the malware was installed on my computer, the hackers had access to my funds. This is completely my fault.
Wow.
So I just want to reiterate, guys, just because you have a ledger, just because your stuff is on a ledger doesn't mean it's a completely cold wallet. If you're connecting it and if you're using it to send and receive, that means it has connection and it's not cold. That means the private keys are stored somewhere that they can access through your computer. So again, I just wanted to reiterate that real quick. So, keep that in mind as you guys are moving forward. Riddle with Pun says, when you connect Ledger to MetaMask, you need to use the contract hardware wallet option and input your seed and not input your seed phrase.
That makes sense.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, and again, this is a guy that's known, he's technical. He's been in the space a long time. He's an influencer. So because he did a backup of his ledger on the PC with the seed phrase, yes, basically he synced it up with his PC. Seed phrase was somewhere on there, whether encrypted or not, they were able to find it, and through that access his ledger and a lot of other things. So I just wanted to hit that, before we wrapped up here today.
Ledger Live, you have to plug your ledger into it to make it hot. If your ledger is unplugged,
right,
and you're on Ledger Live, you're good, and you can't send or receive unless your ledger is plugged in.
Yeah, and that's what somebody's at Crypto Thorn said. I would think so, being if you set it up unplugged. And again, that's the best way to do it, is to just keep it unplugged. Don't be connected.
Unless you're doing something.
Right. And even still know that at that point, you are at risk. Anytime there's network connection, internet connection, computer connection, it's not cold. That's the whole purpose.
Right.
Or air gapped, as a lot of people would say. If you're unplugged, there's a literal gap of air there between the wallet and the internet. So.
And if you want to get a ledger and you don't know how to set it up, be sure to watch my video on BitLab Academy showing you how to do that. It got a lot of positive feedback. That was a fun one.
Yeah, and BitLab Academy should be linked in descriptions and all those places. So be sure to check that out. I just wanted to put that issue of warning in there. We do have to wrap up. We've got more things we can hit tomorrow. So anyway, love you guys. Riddled with Puns, AJS1337, first time chat. Thank you. MF Fold, Dari, Yalkin, Jadera21, Riddled with Puns, Crypto Thorn, Chemistry Bro, Sofa King, Cryptic, Big Hands, Dan. Appreciate all you guys. We'll see you back tomorrow. Smash the likes, tell your friend, leave us a comment,
Peace
tell
out.
us what you want to see on AI. We love all you guys. Nay, Mr. Wilkes, Ralphie, Evan Coons.
See you on the book tour, y'all. Have a good one.
Bud Light Crypto. All right.
Bye-bye.
We're out of here.
Peace.